What food do you swear people only pretend to like? As a Swede, surströmming. Chitterlings. My mom-in-law made some at my house. And it smelled like a grown man shitted all over my home and walls. Hakarl. I can't imagine someone coming in from a long day of work and tucking into a plate of fishy smelling, ammonia-flavored chewy shark chunks that make you smell like a bait camp for the rest of the evening. It seems like survival food. You will stay alive if you eat it. But it's not appealing to me. If you're Icelandic, please help me understand why this is a thing. Lutefisk. The meals I prepare for them. Once upon a time I swore that salted licorice was the most vile thing ever to have graced our fair planet. However, about a year ago my wife made me try some, and much to my surprise, I liked it. How would you describe what you do for a living in a way that makes absolutely no sense? I add thousands of pounds of weight to vehicles, then people drive home. I solve problems that have no practical consequence whatsoever and take years to understand. I'm in charge of a building where customers come to give away their money, blame the employees, and call it having a good time. I just agree with you until agree with yourself. Not me, but a friend described his profession as slapping dead goats really hard. I say yes and no and maybe so, and it depends. Let me get back to you. What are your thoughts on President Biden for giving 10 to 20K in federal student loan debt per borrower? I think they need to redo the system. It used to be student loan companies were a lot tight on lending money. Then laws were changed, mainly making it impossible to declare bankruptcy on student loans. Unfortunately, we can't go back because Pandora's box is open. We can do things like limiting interest rates and allowing bankruptcy, but with stricter guidelines. I have been in education for a while, and have been working in higher ed for the last couple years on scaling accessibility to learning with high-end universities. TL. Doctor. The problem is far larger and more complicated than loan balances. And this makes the actual problem of making higher ed accessible and affordable larger. Tuition inflation is so high because people have easy access to basically unlimited financing for tuition. View education as a requirement. And there are finite seats in reputable higher ed programs. People decide they are going to school regardless of price. The system will give them loans for basically any amount of money necessary to do that. And they will take whatever those loans are and enroll. This means that higher ed is a price inelastic good. Because of this, schools keep raising tuition and demand doesn't go down. The university's best interest is therefore always to raise tuition. They take that increased tuition money and put it into their admin budget to do whatever they want with. Hire more people on their teams, build fancy amenities, etc. You can see this because school budgets keep ramping admin costs, not the budgets of the actual programs. The money goes mostly into hiring around the people who are deciding to raise tuition, and into amenities. Professors aren't the ones drawing budgets and raising revenue, so they don't get to allocate the new revenue to themselves. Notably, the universities do not meaningfully increase seats. Really ever. The value of a degree is driven largely by its exclusivity. The hiring manager viewing it as a prestigious mark on your resume that helps them easily filter the stack down. So you can't scale seats arbitrarily without devaluing the degree. Forgiving loans will reduce downward pressure on price even more, increasing tuition inflation, thus making it even more expensive to do the next round of tuition forgiveness. We should solve the actual underlying problem first, but that problem is complicated and people have little interest in interacting with complexity. So no one is even talking about the actual problem. Instead, we will do a simple thing the public can understand, and keep the snowball rolling down the mountain, growing. The Pell Grant filter is a good idea though. Education loan forgiveness is regressive. It helps wealthier people more than poorer people because poor people generally don't go to college at all. So filtering by Pell Grant eligibility, and thus family income, is a good filter. Personally, I think the best thing they could do is make student loan payments 100% tax deductible. That means if you work an extra job, overtime, etc., in order to pay down your loans, that income doesn't count in your total AGI when tax time comes. This is a band-aid. Please also fix the larger issue. Doesn't address the problem. Cost of college is asinine. I think it would be better to permanently freeze all interest to 0% and reduce all current balances by an amount equal to total interest paid on the debt to date. This way taxpayers do not pay for someone else's education, but the government is also held responsible for their part in creating the spiraling education costs to begin with. Let them pay of their debt over time. But there's no reason to ever have interest on it. You get a penny every time you do one thing. What thing do you choose? Receive a penny. My heart beating. If I have to be actively doing it, then I choose breathing. Take a step. It's common and insensitivizes me to go exercise. Blink. Edit. I get it, brain cells and dying cells make more. But at least I won't crash the economy by blinking. Y'alls would make your money worthless. Every time a neuron in my brain fires. Use an ATP molecule. Nearly every cell in my body does this 10 million times per second. Which celebrity everybody likes but you're pretty much sure is a psychopath? Scrolling through the comments, I get a serious feeling that a lot of people here have reading comprehension problems. Because being a psychopath does not equal being an asshole or being unlikable. That being said, Tom Cruise being the top comment is absolutely deserved. Tom Cruise. Some people still like James Charles. Nick Cannon. Dude is procreating with as many women as he can as fast as he can. Shit's wild. Sharon Osbourne. She claimed she once forced an assistant into a burning building to save her family's artwork collection from a house fire. After public backlash, she then changed her story and said she actually fired him 15 years after the incident. Mark Zuckerberg. Subscribe, my brothers.